You have been asking the wrong questions your entire life, and the proof is in how many conversations ended in silence instead of closeness. There is a hidden architecture behind the questions that make a woman open up to you emotionally. Not the questions you read in magazines, not the ones your friends told you to ask, the ones rooted in something so deep inside her psychology that when she hears them, she does not just answer, she feels something shift, something she cannot explain, something she did not expect. And the reason most men never discover these questions is not because they are complicated. It is because no one ever separated real emotional connection from the surface-level small talk that leads absolutely nowhere. This was never your fault. You were never taught how women actually process emotional closeness. Nobody sat you down and explained that the words you choose in a conversation determine whether she feels safe with you or guarded against you. But by the end of this video, you will understand something that changes every conversation you have from this point forward. Stay until the very last point, because that one alone has transformed how thousands of men communicate. If this kind of understanding matters to you, tap like right now. You are helping more men find this. Welcome to this space where we uncover the real psychology behind connection, trust, and what women actually feel but rarely say out loud. Let me give you some context first. Researchers in interpersonal psychology have studied for decades what makes one conversation feel forgettable and another feel unforgettable. Dr. Arthur Aaron at Stony Brook University conducted a now famous study where complete strangers were given a specific set of questions to ask each other. Within 45 minutes, many of those strangers reported feeling closer to the person across from them than people they had known for years. Some of them fell in love. The questions did not contain anything complicated. They were simple. But they were designed to bypass the surface and reach something real. Most men spend their entire lives stuck on the surface. They ask her what she does for work, what she ate for lunch, how her day was. And then they wonder why she seems distant, why she gives short answers, why the spark never ignites. The cost of not understanding this is enormous. You could be the most caring, most genuine man in the room and still walk away feeling invisible. Because it was never about your intention. It was about your approach. And this is not a trick. This is not a manipulation game. This is real psychology about how emotional closeness works between two human beings. The first thing you need to understand is what psychologists call the depth invitation. Most men ask questions that keep a woman in her logical brain. Surface questions get surface answers, but when you ask a question that gently invites her to share something personal, something she feels but rarely says, you create a doorway, not to her body, to her trust. Psychologists at the University of California found that self-disclosure, the act of sharing something personal, is the single strongest predictor of emotional closeness between two people. Stronger than time spent together, stronger than physical proximity. The question itself becomes the bridge. But here is where most men go wrong. They ask personal questions too early, or they ask questions that feel like an interrogation. The depth invitation is not about pushing her to reveal something. It is about making her feel so comfortable that she wants to. Imagine this. You are sitting across from her at a quiet restaurant. The lighting is low, the music is soft, and instead of asking her what she ordered, you pause. You look at her calmly, and you say something like, "What is something you have always wanted someone to truly understand about you?" Watch what happens to her face. Her eyes will soften, her shoulders will drop slightly. She may look down for a moment, thinking. That pause is not awkwardness. That is her deciding whether you are safe enough to let in. And the fact that you asked it with steadiness, with genuine care, tells her nervous system everything it needs to know. This communicates one thing: I am not afraid of who you really are. The second principle goes even deeper. Psychologists call it the emotional echo. Most men hear what a woman says. Very few men hear what she means. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a conversation she forgets by morning and one she replays in her mind for weeks. Dr. John Gottman, one of the most respected relationship researchers alive, spent over 40 years studying what makes connection work. His conclusion was simple. The couples that lasted were not the ones who agreed on everything. They were the ones who made each other feel heard, truly heard, not just listened to, heard. And the way you do this is not by nodding along. It is by reflecting back to her the emotion underneath her words. She tells you about a difficult day at work. Most men say, "That sounds rough." The man who understands emotional depth says, "It sounds like you felt unseen today." That is the echo. You are not repeating her words, you are naming her feeling. And the moment you do that, something shifts inside her. She feels recognized. She feels known. This is about understanding and respect, not control or manipulation. A woman in her early 50s once told me something I never forgot. She was sitting at a small coffee shop in the afternoon. We were talking about what makes a man stand out after a certain age. She stirred her cup slowly and said, "I have met hundreds of men who wanted to impress me, but only 2 in my entire life ever made me feel like they actually understood me. And those are the only 2 I still think about." That is the power of the emotional echo. You do not need to be louder. You do not need to be funnier. You need to be the man who hears what she is really saying. Now here is where things get more subtle, and this next part is what most men never learn. There is a type of question that psychologists call the vulnerability bridge. It is a question that does not just invite her to share, it shows her that you are willing to share first. Most men are terrified of vulnerability. They think it makes them look weak. Research says the exact opposite. Dr. Brené Brown at the University of Houston spent over 2 decades studying vulnerability and connection. Her findings were clear. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the birthplace of trust. When you ask a woman a question and you go first, when you share something real about yourself before expecting her to do the same, you remove the risk for her. You show her it is safe. Think about it. When was the last time you told a woman something real about yourself without trying to impress her, without performing, without calculating, just being honest? Imagine this. You are walking together in a park. The air is cool. The trees are moving gently. And you say, "I used to think I had to have everything figured out before anyone could really care about me. It took me a long time to realize that the people who matter the most are the ones who stay when you do not have the answers." And then you pause. You do not ask anything. You just let the silence breathe. Watch what happens. She will look at you differently, not with pity, not with judgment, with recognition, because you just did something that most men never do. You let her see the real you, and now she feels permission to do the same. A word of caution here. This only works when your intention is genuine. If you are performing vulnerability to get a reaction, she will feel it. Women sense everything. None of this works without genuine care for the person in front of you. But when it comes from a real place, the vulnerability bridge is one of the most powerful things a man can build. The 4th principle is something I call the future thread. This is a question most men never think to ask, and it is one of the most emotionally activating questions a woman can hear from a man she is getting to know. Most conversations stay in the present. What do you do? Where do you live? What are your hobbies? Some conversations explore the past. Where did you grow up? What was your family like? But very few men ever ask a woman about her future in a way that makes her feel included. Not in a pressuring way, not in a way that assumes anything, but in a way that says, "I am curious about where you are going, not just where you have been." Imagine this. You are both sitting on a bench overlooking the water. The evening light is turning gold, and you say, "If you could design one perfect ordinary day 5 years from now, what would it look like?" Not a fantasy, just a regular Tuesday that would make you happy. Her eyes will light up, because you just asked her something no one else has ever asked. You did not ask about her career goals. You did not ask about her 5-year plan. You asked about her happiness. And in doing so, you communicated something that most men never express. I care about your joy, not your achievements, your joy. That is what creates emotional intimacy, not pressure, not grand gestures, the quiet acknowledgement that her inner world matters to you. And now we reach the point that changes everything. I call this the sacred pause. And it is not a question at all. It is what you do after the question. Most men ask a good question and then immediately fill the silence. They get nervous. They start talking again. They explain what they meant. They redirect. And in doing so, they destroy the very moment they created. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a clinical professor of psychiatry at UCLA, has written extensively about the neuroscience of presence. His research shows that when someone feels truly held in silence, when there is space without pressure, the brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. The pause is not empty, it is full. It is the space where trust grows, where she decides this man is different, where she realizes she does not have to perform for you. So after you ask a meaningful question, do this. Be still. Look at her gently. Do not rush. Do not fill the gap. Let her think. Let her feel. Let the silence become a gift, not an interrogation. Imagine this. You are sitting together after dinner. The plates are cleared. You have asked her something that touched something real inside her. She pauses. Her eyes move away for a moment. She is thinking. Most men would panic in that moment, but you stay calm. You stay present. You let her come back to you on her own time. And when she does, when she looks at you again and begins to speak, her voice will be different. Softer, more open, more honest. Because you gave her the rarest thing a man can give. Space without judgment. This communicates something profound. I am not here to take from you. I am here to be with you. And that is what real emotional closeness feels like. It is not about having the perfect words. It is about having the courage to be still when everything inside you wants to fill the silence. That is presence. That is depth. That is what she remembers. Think about what you have just learned. This is not a list of tricks. This is not a script to memorize. This is a way of being. The depth invitation, the emotional echo, the vulnerability bridge, the future thread, the sacred pause. Each one builds on the last. Each one takes you closer to something that most men spend their entire lives searching for without ever finding. Real connection. The kind that does not fade after a week. The kind that makes a woman think about you when you are not in the room. Not because you performed, not because you impressed her, because you saw her. Most men will never understand this. They will keep asking the same empty questions. They will keep wondering why she seems distant. They will keep blaming their age, their looks, their circumstances. But you are here. You are listening. You are learning. And that separates you from nearly every man she has ever met. If this video opened something inside you, if it made you think differently about how you show up in a conversation, subscribe right now. Hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. And comment the word presence below. Just that one word. It tells me you understand what this is really about. Not tactics, not tricks. Presence. What is coming in the next video goes even deeper. We are going to explore the one signal a woman gives when she has already decided she trusts you. The signal that most men miss completely, and what to do when you see it. You do not want to miss that one.